welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. You know, I've interviewed so many people, and you guys know I'm from up north, and when we left in the winter, went on vacation, whatever, it was an issue because what we had to do was we had to winterize our pipes, otherwise they'd burst. And the one thing I hated in the DIY stuff, and you know I'm a big DIY person, I think that you should always use a professional. Well, plumbing was one thing that always worried me. I could get in there in an electric box and play with the electric and get a shock here and there, but plumbing was always a concern that one, I'd flood my house, and two, I'd break a pipe, and how do I stop the water from, I knew how to turn off the electric, I always didn't know how to do the water thing. Well, I thought it was important to bring on someone who's a bit smarter than me. With me is Arthur Thompson,
Yes, sir.
and you have Arthur's
Authors Plumbing Express,
LLC.
LLC.
Okay, so just to give you the credibility, how long are you in the industry?
36 years.
Okay, why? Why did you pick this industry?
I didn't pick this industry.
Yeah.
It picked me.
And that happens so often.
As a second generation plumber,
Okay.
I didn't have a choice when I was growing up. So, and I was the only son, only child, and one way of my dad getting to spend time with me was, come on, you're going with me when I was out of school. And even though that's not what I wanted to do, I literally grew up hating plumbing. And, things kind of changed and revolved during high school, and said I wanted to take a break and go to college. Well, I wasn't interested in college. I was more interested in other things. And my dad said, I'm not paying for this, so you need to come back home and you need to go to work. So, trying to do what's right. Yes, sir. And I came back and done it. And I'm kind of glad I did, because not only did I earn and learn a valuable trade, I was taught by, if he was still here today, he'd probably whack me, but I was taught by one of the old timers when they did everything and they believed in doing everything right and using quality parts and materials and original manufacturer equipment. And there was something about that stuck with me through all the years, that do it and do it right and don't be cheap about it. Don't look, his motto was, we're not going to take and do it the easy way. We're going to make sure we do it the right way, because if we don't have time to do it right this time, we're certainly not going to have time to come back and do it. And the quality of work that he performed and did back in the days, I guess it just kind of rubbed off on me. And it's a stickler for me now, because I want everything, if I'm working on something, it's going to be as good as new and to perfect as it could be. And that's the same way I try to train upcoming plumbers. And I'm constantly scoping for people that don't have the experience. Always looking, because this trade needs new people coming into it. And I look at it now, even though I don't consider myself an old timer, but I'm getting there.
Welcome to my world.
But I look at it now, and even with my kids, and they have their homes, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to some other plumbers in my age group, and I'm thinking, we're going to be retired in about 10 to 15 years. And, who's going to be there to take our places? And there's just not a whole lot of people out there doing it.
Well, we're sold a bill of goods on TV that, hey, you could get this flex tape or whatever it is, that'll fix your plumbing, or this, that'll fix your car, or this, and you can do everything you want by yourself, and if you can't figure it out, go to YouTube and you'll be able to figure it out. Now, I'm a YouTube supporter. We're a certified YouTube partner. And I do look at YouTube for direction, because when you buy something today, it comes with no direction.
That's right.
Okay, so you have to go to YouTube. But you said something that was really interesting about being an old timer. So I don't know how often you go to the doctor, but today when you go to the doctor, your primary, they look at you, they talk to you for 2 minutes, they give you a prescription, and they send you on your way.
Hmm.
So I needed to get myself a primary because I do all my own care because I have a supplement Medicare. So I book all my own stuff. But I wanted one place to hub. So I found this doctor and I went today. He's a one-man operation, and he came in and he sat down with me and he spoke with me. Then he did something that I haven't seen since I've been a baby. He pulled out a tongue depressor and looked in my throat. He looked in my ears. He listened to my. They don't do those things anymore.
Right.
He spent 20 minutes with me. Okay. To me, that made him a great doctor. So the old timers knew the right way to do things, so it held up, and they got all the answers. So I was telling you, I have a pain in my shoulder and my neck. He wouldn't do things until he said, Wayne, I don't want to do anything until I know the story. So he's sending me for blood work and an MRI. Because he doesn't want to do something and then have to come back and then change it and refix it again.
That's right.
So going back to what you said, I get it. You know, the materials that they use today, I hate using this word, a lot of stuff comes from China.
Yep.
And it's made like garbage. When you have that, you already have one thing against you.
Yep.
Okay, but if you have to use it, you might as well figure out the best way to use it properly.
That's right.
So you get into this plumbing thing, and like for me, if I was you and I would think about, all right, I'm going to go fix this person's pipe, man, I'll feel terrible if it breaks. Okay. And again, we're only human, and some of us do make mistakes and stuff.
Exactly.
What, I'm going to guess, I'm going to take a guess here, out of my bounds. I'm guessing working on toilets must be the worst thing.
No, I don't. I mean, I've been doing it for so long. I don't think there's. I don't look at one particular job as being a worse job. I think it's the environment that you put yourself in, the mindset that you put yourself in, and you got to take and realize that you're there to help someone else.
Right, I get that.
Now, what makes, things do go wrong from time to time. That does sometimes make, it's not as enjoyable when things don't go right.
That's true.
But that's with anything. And probably going into, I mean, we're lucky where we're at. We have some really good customers. But I can't, sometimes jobs are dirty. Sometimes they're not dirty. I think a lot of it has to do with your mindset going into that job and what can you do to solve the issue that customers having. Customers are already upset and they didn't want to call you to start with.
Right.
So it's your job to ease that tension and say, listen, I'm here, I'm going to take care of it, and I'll have you back going as soon as possible, and it'll be better than it was before I got here, and it'll be as good as new, and you won't have to worry about this anymore. I go back and my dad used some products that we can still get. We have to order it. But just like our pop-up assemblies, for instance, what you got in your bathroom sink, I use a solid brass one. I have to order it. Yes, I pay dearly for it. Even the stopper, the whole stopper is solid brass. And my dad used those back when he was doing plumbing in the 60s and the 70s and 80s and up till he retired in the probably late 80s, early 90s. I still use that same pop-up assembly today. I try to use the best quality parts that I can use because what I don't want to happen is I don't want to put in something that you can pick up off the shelf at your local store, big box store, and go in there and sometimes they're broke when you get them. Sometimes, I mean, they're made out of plastic and they don't hold up very long. Normally once I put in some of the parts that we choose to use, I'm never going to come back to that customer again for that same issue. And I want that customer to think every time they go into their bathroom and they use that sink, they're going to say, Arthur or Arthur's Plumbing Express did this work for me, and it ain't let me down yet. I've got another problem coming up. I'm going to call them.
Right.
We believe in doing things right. We want to make sure the quality is there, our efficiency is there, and we want to make sure that that customer is completely happy before we leave that job. And we'll ask that customer, are you 100% satisfied? If you're not, please let me know now, because I want to be able to make sure that you're 100% satisfied before I leave.
Well, I'm gonna guess there are some jobs that are super easy. Like, hey, my pipe cracked. All right, well, it's cracked right here. You see it, and you can fix it.
Exactly.
But
You're
the
right.
stuff where my drain is clogged, now you have to figure out how to unclog it.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to guess technology has made it a little bit easier because they have. I've always believed that if you have the right tool, the job will go that much better.
It does. We do. That is probably one of our biggest expenses, tools. And maybe it's just with plumbing, but I'm sure HVAC and electricians and all, they have to buy and update their tools ever so often. But the technology has changed tremendously. We try to replace our equipment typically about every 4 years, depending
Right.
on the use. I've actually got some equipment, believe it or not, it's still 20 years old, and
Probably-
it works great.
Probably made amazing.
Yes, it's made in the USA, and but technology has changed. It has, especially drain equipment, has made our jobs easier. So, you have to keep up with the times. Um, a lot of things has changed over the years. The pipes changed. How you connect the pipes has changed, and
If they're using,
definitely the
if they're
faucets
using
have
garbage,
changed.
that affects what you do. Because new construction, they use the cheapest stuff that they can find. Okay, and that has an effect on the job that you can do too. Because if something goes wrong, it's not always something that you did. It's just a leftover from the garbage that they put in to build this.
Exactly. I spent some time with a customer here just a few days ago, and there was $44,000 damage done to their home that was just done less than a month ago. And I tell this to everybody I come in contact with, whether I do the work for you or not, make sure you hire a licensed contractor, because if you're licensed by the state of Florida, you're required to carry insurance. This person that come in there, and I don't know who they were, they did the work, they weren't licensed, they don't have insurance. And when she called her insurance, they denied the claim.
Because they didn't use a license.
They didn't use a licensed contractor. Your insurance would be glad to take the claim if they can go back after the company's insurance, but since they weren't licensed and they didn't have insurance, this customer's on the hook for about 44 grand.
Wow.
And and it's heartbreaking when you go in there. They had some stuff fixed, and they left for a week, and something blew apart and it flooded their home. And the problem is it didn't just wet the floor. There was probably, not counting what got soaked up, there was a couple inches of water in their home running out,
Well, then your
in the
furniture
garage.
is going to be
The
shot.
furniture was gone. The
Yep.
sheetrock's got to be ripped out. It was a nightmare, but I go in there and I look at it and I said, listen, I'm gonna get you taken care of, and I'll be in and out of here. Give me a few hours and I'll get you taken care of. And I don't want to. I didn't ask who did the work. I don't care who did the work.
Doesn't matter.
It
It's over.
doesn't matter. I mean, I ended up coming in. My thing is I don't like walking into situations like that. and when it all could have been preventable from the start. Now, plumbing is going to break down. Yes, I mean, just like a car, it's going to break down over time. Um, but you want to make sure that it gets fixed and it gets fixed right.
It's like our bodies.
Exactly. It's just like going to the doctor. You want to make sure you get fixed and you get
Yeah.
fixed right. And you hope you don't have those issues no more.
That's true. We're getting to the top of our time. How do people find you? You have a phone number?
My phone number is 772-325-4000.
And a website?
Website is authorsplumbingexpress.com.
Arthur, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Wayne. I appreciate
Everybody,
it.
again, I say it a million times, I'll say it again, use a professional. If you don't use a professional, what's going to happen is in the long run, it's going to cost you 5 times more in money and 10 times more in frustration. And that comes from experience, because I did the DIY projects a bunch of times thinking that, yeah, I got this, no problem. It just mathematically doesn't work out, because what would take let's just say a leak, would take him an hour to fix, would take me 4 hours to fix, and those 3 hours that I lose, the money that I would make doing what I do would more than cover to pay for the repair. So use that. And plus, I don't know how many curse words come out of my mouth when I started to do a DIY project, because it's very frustrating, and what you think is easy is never as easy. Everybody have a great day, and we'll be right back.